Loki's origins are as chaotic as his tricks. Let's unravel his story. Loki, the son of the giant Farbauti and goddess Laufey, was torn between the worlds of giants and gods. He met Odin during one of Odin's adventures, and their mutual admiration led them to become blood brothers. Loki then moved to Asgard, where he married the goddess Sigyn and had two sons, Narfi and Vali. He also had a relationship with the giantess Angerboda, resulting in terrifying offspring: Fenrir, the giant wolf; Jormungandr, the massive sea serpent; and Hel, the goddess of the underworld. In a bizarre twist, Loki even gave birth to Sleipnir, an eight-legged horse. Once, Loki cut off Sif's hair as a prank. To make amends, he struck a deal with the dwarves, resulting in a golden wig for Sif, Odin's powerful spear; Gungnir, Thor's mighty hammer; Mjolnir, and the magical ship, Skidbladnir, for Freyr. Despite his contributions, Loki's mischief led to the death of Baldur, earning him a harsh punishment. During Ragnarok, he breaks free, unleashing chaos upon the world.
Marvel Loki versus Norse Loki. Which trickster wins? Marvel Loki's tricks are personal. He wants power, approval, or just to outshine Thor. Remember his Earth invasion? While Norse Loki, pure chaos. He doesn't care who gets hurt. He's shapeshifted into various forms. Once he turned into a mare and gave birth to an eight-legged stallion. Yeah, that happened. So, who wins? Marvel Loki is clever and charming, but Norse Loki, he's terrifying. Father to Fenrir the giant wolf, Jormungandr the world serpent, and Hel, queen of the underworld. In the end, it's about what kind of chaos you prefer. Which Loki's your pick? Let me know.
Even the trickster god Loki had 3 wives, and you are still single. First up, there is Glut, a fire goddess married to Loki. She was the mother of 2 daughters, Isa, who represented the embers, and Einmyria, who symbolized ashes. Glut wasn't just a goddess of fire, she was fire itself. Next, we meet Angerboda, the frost giantess. Angerboda gave birth to 3 of Loki's most famous children: Fenrir, the giant wolf who killed Odin, the father of all gods; Jormungandr, the colossal Midgard serpent, was destined to kill Thor, the god of thunder; and finally, Hela, or Hel, the goddess of death and queen of the underworld. Lastly, Loki's 3rd wife, Sigyn, is known for her deep loyalty and love. She had 2 children with him, Vali and Narvi. Odin turns Vali into a wolf who kills his brother, Narvi. When the gods bound Loki with Narvi entrails and gave him the worst punishment, Sigyn held a bowl above his head to catch the venom that dripped from a serpent, saving him from pain.
The time when Loki became pregnant, the Norse gods decided that Asgard needed a protective wall against frost giants. So, they hired a mysterious builder who asked for a huge payment: the beautiful goddess Freya, the sun, and the moon. The gods were unsatisfied, but the tricky Loki convinced them to agree, as long as the builder could finish the walls in 3 years. To their shock, the builder was almost done after 2 years, because his strong horse, Svadilfari, could carry heavy loads very well. The gods were furious at Loki and asked him to stop the builder since it was his idea. Loki turned into a mare and led Svadilfari away. The horse ran off with Loki and did something terrible to him. After a few months, Loki had a baby horse with 8 legs named Sleipnir. Later, the builder revealed that he was a frost giant. So, Thor, the god of thunder, killed him immediately.
The time Loki almost destroyed Thor's hammer. Loki was bored and looking for trouble, cutting the golden hair of Sif, Thor's wife, while she slept. But Thor wasn't laughing and almost broke Loki's bones. To make amends, Loki sought out the dwarves, the sons of Ivaldi, to craft new golden hair for Sif, plus other treasures. But Loki's ass didn't make him stop. Loki then bet Brokkr and Sindri they couldn't craft better treasures than the sons of Ivaldi. He even bet his head. Confident in their skill, Brokkr and Sindri began forging. Loki, afraid of their success, turned into a fly and tried to sabotage Brokkr by biting him. But despite the bites, the dwarves forged 3 treasures: Hammer Mjolnir, Ring Draupnir, and Bor Gullinbursti. Mjolnir's handle, though, came out too short due to Loki's interference. It became Thor's iconic weapon, and Loki narrowly escaped losing his head. But dwarves managed to avenge their insult.
The moment when Loki crushed his balls, once Sadi, a fierce giantess, arrived at Asgard seeking revenge. Her father, giant Thiazi, had been burned by gods in an eagle form. The gods, not wanting a fight, offered her compensation instead. They proposed 3 conditions. One, Skadi chose her husband among them, but she had to pick him by only looking at their feet. Skadi, hoping to select Baldur by his clean feet. Hit Njord, the sea god, having clean feet. Condition 2, Skadi demanded a pile of treasure. The gods obliged and also turned Thiazi's eyes into stars in the sky. And for the last thing, the gods had to make her laugh. One by one, everyone tried, but Skadi didn't even smile. Finally, Loki stepped forward. He tied a rope from the beard of a goat to his own very sensitive hearts. With the goat pulling one way and Loki getting yanked in the other direction and collapsed, Skadi finally burst out laughing with Loki still hopping around in pain.
How did Loki become the most hated god? It was the moment when Loki confessed to killing Balder. Once, there was a huge party for all gods hosted by Aegir, the sea god. Everyone was there except Thor. Aegir's two helpers, Fimafeng and Eldir, did an outstanding job there and were praised by the gods, which made Loki incredibly jealous. Unable to control his rage, Loki killed Fimafeng. Furious by this violent act, the gods immediately kicked Loki out of the party. However, unbothered, Loki returned to the feast, much to the surprise and anger of the other gods. Once back, Loki started drinking heavily and arguing and insulting others. He even accused Odin's wife, Frigg, of her infidelity with Odin's brothers. Next, he went on to insult Freyja. As Loki was drunk, he accidentally let slip that he was responsible for Baldur's death. The final straw was when he insulted Thor's wife, Sif. Just then, Thor arrived at the party and threatened Loki, forcing him to flee. Loki knew that Thor was not joking and quickly ran away.
Why did Loki, the trickster god, face the worst punishment ever? It all began when Loki orchestrated the death of Balder, the beloved god of light. During a grand feast in Aegir's hall, Loki insulted the gods, and in a moment of arrogance, confessed to his crime. This act of treachery enraged the other gods, leading Odin to order Loki's capture. Realizing he messed up with the gods, Loki fled to a mountainous area with his family. However, Odin's ravens, Hugin and Munin, eventually revealed his location. Loki turned into a salmon attempting to escape, but Thor caught him with his bare hands. Odin transformed Loki's son Vali into a wolf, who then slaughtered his brother Narfi. They brought Loki to a dark cave and bound him with Narfi's entrails. A venomous serpent was placed above him, dripping poison onto his face. Loki's loyal wife Sigyn stayed by his side, holding a bowl to catch the venom. But whenever she had to empty the bowl, the poison would drip onto Loki, causing him unbearable pain and making the earth tremble with his agony. This torment would last until the dawn of Ragnarok, when Loki would finally break free. The god who caused the end of Norse mythology. After swearing a blood oath with Odin, Loki is welcomed into Asgard as a trusted ally. But later, Loki's true nature begins to show. Loki's betrayal starts with the death of the beloved god Balder. In an act of jealousy, Loki tricks Balder's blind brother, Hodur, into killing him with a mistletoe dart, the only thing that hurts Balder. Balder's death sparks the countdown to Ragnarok, the final battle of Norse gods. However, Loki's monstrous children, Fenrir the wolf, Jörmungandr the serpent, and Hel the ruler of the dead, are key to the destruction. The gods bind Fenrir with chains, throw Jörmungandr into the ocean, and give Loki the worst punishment for his crimes. But when Ragnarok begins, Fenrir breaks free. Loki escapes from his torment, and Jörmungandr emerges from the ocean. Loki leads an army of Jotuns, including the fiery Surtur and Hel's army of dead. Thor faces Jörmungandr and kills the serpent, but dies from its poison. Fenrir swallows Odin, and Frey dies fighting Surtur's flames. Heimdall and Loki face off in a deadly duel, killing each other. And thus Norse mythology ends.
How did Loki die in Norse mythology? Loki, the trickster god, was punished by the other gods for his involvement in the death of Baldur, the most beloved god. During the cataclysmic events of Ragnarok, Loki managed to break free from his chains and led an army of frost giants, undead, and other monsters against the gods. In this final fight, Loki confronts Heimdall, the guardian of Asgard and Bifrost Bridge. They were enemies for a long time, and now they fought fiercely. In the end, they both killed each other. That's how Loki's story ends.